everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kira. In today's video, I am going to be telling you every book that I have read so far in 2026. You may or may not know that one of my New Year's resolutions was to read at least one book a month, which isn't hard. You have 28 to 31 days to finish one book. It was a very attainable goal. I actually managed to read 9 books. So that averages 3 books a month. So I'm just gonna tell you every book that I read, what it was about, ? I don't really remember what they're all about, what I rated them, how I felt reading them. Let's get into it. The first book on my list was actually an audiobook, so I still think it counts because I dedicated time to listening to it. I listened to The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. I wanted to read it because I saw the movie in December and I just kept thinking about the movie. I'm like, dang, I really want to watch it again. So I decided to read the book, and the book was very different than the movie. And I think to some extent, the movie was better. Ooh, did she just say that? Yeah, even though a particular actor was in it that I don't really like, use your context clues with that one. Specifically, the second half of the movie I thought was so good, and the conclusion was just so much better, more satisfying, more graphic than in the book. If you read the book, it's kind of like they switched roles basically, and then one of them died. So that's it. And I was like, that's not really satisfying, because all the things that happened in the movie were kind of psychotic and that was really enjoyable to watch. What does that say about me? I rated it a 3.75. I think it may have been different if I was actually reading it, because, you know, when you listen to it, you hear the way that someone else reads it versus how you would read it. My rating could go up or down based on that, but I thought it was pretty good. The next book that I read was The In-Laws by Sinead Moriarty. Did I like the book? Yes. Did I enjoy reading it? Not necessarily. There are just so many characters with so many names, and they're all pretty basic names. In my mind, it's really hard to distinguish between all of them. So basically, it's the matriarch, her 3 sons, their wives, their children, and then all the other surrounding characters. Some of the characters were a little one-dimensional, while others had a really good character arc. It just didn't feel proportionate to me. But overall, I enjoyed the story, the found family aspect, making choices that are hard but benefit you, owning up to your mistakes. Ultimately, I rated it a 4.25, which is really good. Once I got into the book and one of the big secrets came out, I was really into reading it, and I didn't put it down because I, specifically wanted to finish the book that day, but also it wasn't unpleasant to read at that point. So I'd say the first half was not as fun as the second half. The next book I read was The Love Haters by Catherine Center. This is my first Catherine Center book that I read, and I actually talked about it in a previous video that I made. I loved reading The Love Haters. I think it's because I read it in either January or February. I think it was February, and it was cold at the time where I live. This book takes place in the Florida Keys. It was just such a summery, fun vibe. I really liked the male love interest. I know for some people, because I was reading the Goodreads reviews, some people just didn't really like the inner dialogue of the main character because she does think a lot about her body image and how she looks, and just having a lot of insecurity about that. And some people just didn't really like that, which that's fine. Like, you can like what you like. I really didn't mind it. It felt very real for someone who has experienced that and continues to live with those thoughts every day. It just felt very real. Something happens at the end, and it has to do with a natural disaster. I'll say that. I'm sure it is realistic the way that it happened, but I just didn't feel like it was very realistic for that character to have persisted as much as they were able to. I rated The Love Haters 4.5. Not sure why it wasn't a 5. It was just a very good book. And I enjoyed reading it. I read it in one day. I love how I'm not talking about like what the books are about at all. I'm just telling you what books I read and what I remember about them. The next book I read was Everyone is Beautiful by Katherine Center. This was a book that I did read in that other book video, so you can go watch that if you want to see my thoughts as I'm reading it. Ultimately, I rated it a 4.25, so just under the Love Haters. I really liked the themes of found family, community, motherhood, identity, and self-esteem. I feel like I liked all the characters pretty much except for the weird one and the husband for most of it, just because he was like a non-existent character. He was just talked about. He barely had a role in anything in the book until the end, but it was good. I felt like at the time when I was reading it, I resonated with a lot of the things that the main character was thinking, so it felt very relatable to me, at least. The next book I read was Sisterhood by Kathy Kelly. I have it right here. I rated it a 2.5. I think it could be because my expectations were not met. Like, I thought the book was going to be about one thing and then it was about something completely different. I didn't really like the characters that much. Some of the characters, similar to what I was saying about the in-laws, some characters had a good arc where they changed over time, and then some of them didn't. And so it felt disproportionate. The main character has a difficult relationship with her mom. Once the big event happens in the book, she's like, I'm not gonna let this happen to me anymore. I'm gonna stand up for myself. And then that like doesn't happen. So I'm like, so what was the point of having that revelation? It just subverted my expectations. It wasn't that fun, I don't think. I'm sorry. The next book I read was Don't Believe Everything You Think. Again, during this time in February, I was really in a place where I needed to change the way I was thinking because it was honestly making me miserable. Like, the way I was thinking about my life and the things I was doing and who I was, it was really bringing me down, and I needed something to help me change the way I was thinking. So that book was really good for fulfilling that purpose. When I was reading it, it felt like things I needed to hear at the time. There's a lot of different methodologies for how to pause and redirect your thinking, and I don't really remember them. A lot of it's common sense, but sometimes it's just something you need to hear. So for me, it was really nice. The next book that I read was The Wedding People, and I have a physical copy of it, but I'm letting my roommate borrow it right now, so I can't show it to you. I really like that book, and for days after, I was thinking about it because I was like, dang, I want to go back to that place. The beginning is really hard to read because it's a lot of thoughts about end of life and not being satisfied with things, feeling very depressed, and like that's really hard to read. But once you get to the plot, past the exposition, into the events of the story, I thought it was so good. I loved the carefreeness of one of the characters and the insecurity of the other characters and like how they're all interacting with each other. Just imagining the setting was very romantic and beautiful, and I wish I could reread it again for the first time. I rated it a 4.25, which was on the same level as Everyone is Beautiful by Katherine Center. So I'm trying to think. I forget what brought it down. Maybe the ending? I think it was the ending. I did not like the end. It just seemed a little too convenient. It's so easy to give up everything that you've built up and like ever had in your life for this other thing, and you're gonna be happy. That's not realistic. Not that I needed to be realistic, but I just wish the ending was a bit different. And that character doesn't even end up with the person that they were having us believe that they were going to be with, because they fought so hard the entire book to not be with them. That will only make sense if you read it. I was like, so we did all that for nothing? We did all that for nothing. That was annoying. The next book that I read was The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, and I know This has a lot of controversial opinions based on what I read on Goodreads. For me, I think I read it in like 2 days or something. Again, because I felt like it was something that I really needed at that time when I was reading it. Although nothing was necessarily groundbreaking, and some of the anecdotes, whichever, didn't really paint Mel Robbins in a good light. Additionally, weren't very relatable because I feel like I would not have made the choices that she made. I feel like it helped me better interact with people around me because I'm the type of person that gets really frustrated and annoyed with very minuscule things and like inconsequential things. I just use the let them theory. Let them do this and let me not care. Like do I follow that? No, because I kind of forgot about the book. Yeah. The most recent book that I read this year was Just Friends by Haley Pham, and I love this book. I was so excited to read it because I've been watching her YouTube channel for forever, and I was so excited for her to release the book. I was able to get one of the first edition copies from the airport, so it has a little note from her at the beginning and at the end with an annotated chapter, which is so cool. I was very excited. I stayed up until 2 a.m. or something to finish the book because I was so in it. I really enjoyed it because I know a lot of things in the plot related to her own life and experiences that she had, so I was able to connect some of the things that the main character experienced with Haley's life. I enjoyed that very much. I rated it a 4.5. So it's pretty awesome. I know the writing style is not everyone's cup of tea. A lot of people have a lot of opinions about it. That's fine. You can have your opinion, but I really enjoyed it. I like the love story. I like the characters. I like the setting. That's another book where I wish I could read it again for the first time. Yeah, that's everything I read. We'll check in June. Yeah, we have to get through April, May, June to get halfway through the year, and then we'll see what I read then. I've been in the middle of a book for basically the last 3 weeks because I just don't really want to read it, but I have to finish it because I already started it. Anyway, goodbye!